House fans, what are the Palismen for each Coven Head? In a January Post Hoot, Dana dodged a question asking about the Coven Head's Palismen, but she did inform us that they all used to have a Palisman, which likely means that they got turned into Wittebanana slushies. Or maybe they're out there under the watchful eye of the Batqueen. I actually have a cool theory on that for the end of the video, but for now, I want to speculate on which types of Palismen would be the best fit for these witches. Palismen are by and large symbolically representative in some way to their witches. Luz in her flexibility, breadth of interest, and creativity, for example, is exemplified in Stringbean's shapeshifting. And Stringbean's snake-like base form is symbolic of Luz's willingness to embrace the commonly labeled creepy outcasts. So for this video, my goal is to narrow down 3 or 4 animals/creatures that reflect what we know about these Coven Heads. Obviously, we know much more about some characters than others, so certain choices are indicative of personalities, while others are fitting guesses based on these being the top witches in their respective fields of magic. I also wanted to avoid doubling up on animals and Palismen we've already seen in the show, unless there's some sort of thematically important parallel to another Palisman. For the most part, this eliminates chameleons, cats, birds, and snakes. So with this in mind, let's start speculating. Let's start with a fan favorite, Abomination Head Darius Deamonne. Darius is a dexterous sewer with a keen mind and malleable powers. I feel like the crafty octopus is the perfect fit here. Octopuses are smart, their tentacles can perform complex tasks, and their soft bodies can fit into tight spaces, just like a man who can turn himself into goo. Alternatively, I could see him matched with mud dwellers like a ghost shrimp or a crawfish to complement his abomination magic. If we want to go mammalian and stick to the mud theme, elephants enjoy wallowing in mud and are known for their keen minds. Moving on to a lesser seen Coven Head, in charge of the construction coven is Mason. Obviously, animals that use tools like monkeys or build structures like beavers are immediate contestants here. Going further though, the name Mason is a reference to professional stonecutters, masons, so I think that an animal that can mold earth and move rock would be a forerunner here. So with that in mind, I submit the ant, a diligent worker that uses rocks for their mounds and tunnels. Also, pavement ants have a habit of nesting underneath loose brickwork, so that can connect to the masonry aspect of Mason's talents. Here's a tough one to crack, the beast-keeping head Eberwolf. There are so many animals that are fitting for a beastmaster. Literally anything could reflect Eber's powers. So obviously a lion, being considered the king of the jungle, is a low-hanging fruit guess. But knowing that Eberwolf's pentagram handle is raised by direwolves, I'm leaning towards wolves being symbolically important to him and a fitting Palisman partner. The Eber part of his name is also German for boar, so that's an easy third guess. But if I had to pick a wild card for this scrappy wild child, I'd go with the tenacious Wolverine. Like the X-Man and Eber, Wolverines prove that powerful things come in small packages. Now let's explore options for Osran the Oracle Coven Head. The Oracle Coven is defined by spiritual and divination magic, and Osran himself is always holding onto a crystal ball. My immediate guess would be that Osran was paired with a dung beetle, a creature that is associated with balls of you-know-what. In ancient Egyptian symbolism, the dung beetle, also known as the scarab beetle, is representative of the cycle of life, death, and rebirth, all fitting for the Oracle track. Additionally, Osran has several hands incorporated into his design, 2 sets of arms, as well as another hand shape on his head and back. This totals 6 hands, which is equivalent to the number of legs on a scarab. If we assume Osran has 2 legs under his robes, a spider might actually be more fitting though. Spiders likewise have a long cultural history of being equated with psychic omens and the concepts of life and death. Staying on the psychic train of thought, tapirs are another wildcard option. These pig-like mammals are the basis for the Baku, a psychic being in Japanese folklore capable of eating nightmares. For the Healing Coven, we have Hettie Cutburn, who we know little about aside from having surgical precision and being deceptively dangerous. To this end, the elegant but sharp-cutting mantis might be a perfect fit. Another more unique option could be the Australian water rat, aka the rockali or rabe. These ingenious carnivores are one of the few predators of the poisonous cane toad. To achieve this, they flip the toads on their backs and surgically carve out their non-poisonous organs. Going in a different direction that's less surgical and more broadly medical, we have the cone snail. Don't be fooled. These little things are highly venomous. That said, pharmaceutical chemists find their conotoxins useful in small doses because they're so fast-acting. From pain relief to experimental medicine combating numerous diseases, researchers are finding that cone snails have a versatile range of healing uses. The Illusion Coven Head, Adrian Graye Vernworth, is a self-important director with talents in misdirection and deception. Obviously, illusion magic makes me lean towards predators that use camouflage for hunting, like leopards or other animals that use mimicry like the owl-eyed butterfly. When it comes to Adrian though, I think we need to find a particularly nasty partner. Foxes, for example, have a wide cultural history of being considered conniving, and in some parts of the world they're associated with illusions. That said, my number one pick for Adrian is something more cold-blooded, the crocodile. Not only does the expression crocodile tears sum up Adrian's insincere theatrics, but crocs use their log-like camouflage to lure in prey. Going even further, crocs have been observed fitting sticks and other nesting materials on top of and inside their jaws to trick birds into becoming easy meals. Having a reptile for Adrian also parallels illusion wonderkin Gus and his chameleon, Emmeline Bailey Marskatimo. The plant Coven Head, Terra Snapdragon, is another character that feels deserving of a Palisman that reflects her sinister nature. Being as she's a plant coven witch, I think a pollinator with a nasty attitude fits the bill. Something that also mirrors Willow's bee, Clover. Enter the wasp. Not only do several wasps spread pollen, but they're also nature's pest control, just like Terra is Belos's pest control. Another option for Terra could be the cantankerous snapping turtle, which has a bite that rivals her favorite flytrap-esque monsters. I think Terra also seems like a prime candidate for a Palisman based on a mythical creature, seeing as she seemingly holds more institutional power than the other Coven Heads. So if I had to pick a mythical partner for Terra, I'd go with the Hydra. The Hydra is known for its regenerative and poisonous properties, two attributes commonly associated with plants. Poison is also fitting for Terra's methods of manipulation. While we've got poison on the mind, let's explore options for the Potions Coven Head Vitimir. This lemon-grabby looking dude can unhinge his jaw to release noxious fumes. Since we're avoiding snakes due to stringbean, I think another reptile with flexible jaws might be a good fit here, the Komodo dragon. These massive lizards are famous for their venomous bites that totally shut down their prey. Another option fitting for Vitimir is the skunk, which are obviously known for their stinky chemical spray. That said, I actually think Vitimir would pair nicely with a green lion as the symbol of his mastery over chemistry. In alchemy, the image of a green lion represents the catalyst vitriol, aka sulfuric acid, a substance capable of dissolving most metals except for gold, which is commonly represented as the sun. It's thought that discovering the process to dissolve gold is a key step in creating the Philosopher's Stone, a theoretical means to develop the elixir of life. Pairing Vitimir with a green lion would be a cool way to reference his aptitude with potions. Now we've got the Coven Head that y'all have been waiting for, the head of the Bard Coven, Scooty Scooty Crane Crane. JK, we're gonna talk about Raine Whispers, but for a bonus round, I am giving Scooter the dodo bird. You can figure that one out for yourself. Anyways, it's hard to think that Raine willingly gave up their Palisman to Belos, so I'd like to think that they'd be paired with something that could easily escape him on accident. Something with wings, which could also parallel nicely to Ida and Albert. Considering that Raine founded Bards Against the Throne, a bat would fit the bill, but that might be a little too on the nose. Instead, my number one guess is the musical cricket. Not only does this check the wing and bard magic boxes, but this could be a cool allusion to Pinocchio. Like Jiminy or Sebastian J. Cricket, Raine is a rare voice of conscience within the Coven Heads, and coincidentally, Raine is also the most featured marionette in this final arc. Plus, I really want to see them whoop Belos' behind. Okay, it's theory time, folks. I actually noticed something potentially huge while Brett was editing this video, and I had to re-record and add this discovery into the video after the fact. So, remember how I mentioned that Dana dodged a question on these Palismen earlier? At the time, it seemed like she implied that they got slurped up by Belos, but I actually think she could have been misdirecting us, and we've actually already seen the Coven Head's Palisman in Hunting Palismen. Perhaps Flapjack wasn't the only Palisman hiding out with a secret origin story introduced in this episode. I don't think it's a coincidence that a handful of Palismen we see in this episode sort of align with the Coven Heads, and they actually pair up well with some of my speculations from earlier. Take this mud-dwelling trilobite, for instance. It's got eyes in unlikely places like Darius. Then we have this wolf-like generic beast perfect for Eber. This living mandrake obviously complements Terra Snapdragon and is another mythical alternative to my Hydra guess. Then we have this hermit crab, a Palisman that fits Mason. It may not use tools as I thought, but it does literally have a home on its back. This spider pig is an interesting one, and I'm gonna pair it with Osran. A while back, I got a comment from a user named Butler Kitty, and she speculated that this bizarre beast is an adaptation of a lemon pig. These are little charms that people make to bring good fortune into a new year. They have legs made of toothpicks, coins in their mouths, and clovers for eyes that match this piggo's markings. Other users also suggested that it draws inspiration from the boss monster Natural Killer Cyborg from the game Mother 3. Good luck charms mixed with an evil psionic pig would def be something fitting for the Oracle Coven Head. The potions and illusion covens are harder to nail down, but I think that this cat would be Vitimir's. Many have noticed that this cat shares features with Mew from Pokemon. Mew's DNA was key for creating the clone Mewtwo in Team Rocket's lab, so this Mew reference feels like the best fit for the mad scientist Vitimir. Now, Adrian doesn't have any options that scream fitting for him. There's the possibility that he used to be paired with Emmeline since he never actually sees Gus with Emmeline in the show. But keeping with the pattern of all these other Palismen being present with Luz in Hunting Palisman, I'm giving Adrian the goose. This goose is a reference to the player character in Untitled Goose Game, who's defined primarily by being a raging a-hole. So yeah, I think that this pairs pretty well. As for Raine, they actually weren't an official Coven Head during the events of Hunting Palisman, despite being present for Belos' little Day of Unity presentation. So this might explain why there isn't a bard-centric Palisman in this episode. That said, if Raine did set their Palisman free secretly, I'm sticking to my cricket theory. Even though we don't see a cricket in this episode, Skara is present at the adoption fair, and she's later seen paired with a cricket. To my recollection, Skara has never once had a scene with Raine, which adds plausibility to my theory. So those are my top picks for potential Palismen for the Coven Heads, but I want to know what animals or creatures you think the Coven Heads had. Also, what happened to them? There's plenty more Owl House content coming your way, including the Fabled Thanks to Them breakdown part 2, our series finale breakdown, and my belated Owl House surprise. So stay tuned to Whitney Vision in the upcoming weeks. In the meantime, check out my Moon Girl premiere breakdown. I really want to cover more episodes of this series, but only if there's enough interest. I'm Scarlet Wit, and you're watching Whitney Vision.